Welcome to day 2 of Stamp Camp, and today we're going to look at something from Cosmic Shimmer. They're called shimmering paints, and they are absolutely beautiful. Now, you may be wondering, so what do paints have to do with stamping? Well, I guess you're going to have to stay tuned and find out.
Because we're going to show you there are 10 different colors of this shimmering paint, and wait till you see how easy it is to use.
Do you know you say shimmering that way?
Shimmering, every time.
Come play with us. Well, here are the 10 colors, beautifully presented.
They are. We have russet red, pearl, peacock, antique gold, malachite, gold, green aqua, pink plum, silver, and graphite.
Okay, I'm sitting here with the catalog to see if we got all of those. Good job, Gail. So these are paints, and they have the shimmering look. And Creative Expressions from England makes these, and many of the things that they do have mica powder in them, and so they have that shimmering look.
I believe these have the mica powder in them as well, and 50 milliliters, so it's a nice big bottle. It's got a pop top cap like that. Oh, ready to come out. It is. It's a little bit under pressure, that one. With a small, you can just pop out little drops or squirt out as much as you need. So, and they are paints.
And how to use them, one might ask. Well, we're going to scoot this aside.
Okie doke, and let's see.
We're going to start with some stamping. Now, this is not only the paints. In fact, let me just show you the shimmer. So as we get in, you can see that iridescence. Isn't that pretty?
There
on
is
all
the
the
shimmer
colors.
On all of the colors.
Yeah.
That green in particular has a nice luster to it.
It's really pretty.
And these are just fun to stamp with, especially when you're using the block walla stamps, which is what you're seeing.
And these are new for us. In fact, we're waiting for our first shipment. They are out of wood. They are hand carved, and they're done in India, and the whole company works to help the impoverished women in that area. So that just is really nice.
Hand carved by these women and men in India, but the proceeds do go to help them. I just think they're beautiful. I can't remember if that's teak wood or
it's rosewood. An Indian rosewood. Is what it's called. It's a sustainable wood.
Right. And something I want to say about these. Okay, so hand carved and then painted on the surface, so it's ready for stamping. It's a hard wooden stamp, but that is just an artwork in and of itself. For myself, when I see this, I just kind of want to own a few of them and just put them on my mantelpiece. And they also come with this nice little bell and the instructions on how to wash these to keep them clean.
Now, at the end of the week, we'll be doing a webisode on these, and we'll have our inventory
on all of the block walla stamps that we have.
Yeah. So, but to show you here, they are perfect for stamping with paint, and especially with the shimmer paint. So you're going to show us.
So I have this craft cardstock that we used for this card, and what I have underneath it is a mouse pad. Now you can also use a folded over dish towel, something like that. You need a little bit of give under there when you're using these wood block stamps. It's because they're not rubber, so they're not going to give when you push, so you need a give somewhere else. So in this case, it's under that cardstock. So here is the block stamp. I've got it off to the side, and you can see once it's used, the paint starts to go away a little bit. It just starts to fade a little bit. You do want to wash these immediately with water and just a mild soap.
Yeah, they're an acrylic base, so water's going to be fine.
So I have the aqua green and the pink plum. I'm going to start by putting some of that right here on my craft sheet. And, I think the end dried a little bit. Let me get it down there. Oh, there we go. It didn't dry. I just didn't have it down there. A little bit of the aqua green, a little bit of the pink plum. And look at the shimmer on that here. And once I get my hand away, look at the shimmer on those, just the way they are. It's already pretty shiny. You can really see that. I'm going to use a sponge to apply those. I think I'm going to start with the pink. I don't know why I traded sponges. Anyway, I'm going to use the pink, and I'm going to get it off to the side here for a block walla stamp. I want a nice little layer like that. I don't want to put it too thin on the stamp, or you're not going to get a very good stamp from this. Can you hear that? You want to hear the paint a little bit. See,
Hopefully
if it
you
was
heard that.
too thin, you wouldn't hear that.
So you hear kind of a sucking, tapping
right.
motion?
It's sort of a lifting up of the paint because you want a kind of a nice layer on there. You don't want it so thick that it's going to go down into the recesses of the stamp. And then I went around the edges and added a little green. I think I did a little blue with this too, but I'm going to leave it at that for now. And you want to work kind of quickly. You don't want the paint to dry. And then I'm just going to place that on there. I am pressing down so that it actually is pressing into that mouse pad a little bit so I can really get most of the area of that stamp. Every stamp is going to be a little bit different. Some is going to be a little bit less stamped, some a little more, depending on how much paint you use and how quickly you work. But isn't that cute? That's such a fun look.
It is a sweet look. And so as it dries, you're going to get that shimmering look.
Right.
Now on this card, you're stamping on craft color, kind of tan cardstock. So we've got our little owl wiggling across the top. You also used the little leaf, that's a separate one, and stamped that along the bottom. Now inside this card, and isn't that, it's just pretty.
Isn't that beautiful?
Just pretty. Now on the inside, there's a little peeking out, and I highly recommend doing that. I think that's absolutely darling. The other thing that's going on is that this is the card greetings dazzles, and this has been colored with the same paints, I gather.
It has. So actually, I have that right here.
Okay.
So see, I was putting things away. I sort of forgot about that. So I love those card greetings dazzles. 42 card greetings, all with this nice script form, nice long script. And I've put it on. You could put it on your craft sheet too, but I got it ready and put it on a plastic covering. You just take some of the paints and you just pounce it onto your dazzles.
Now that surprises me that the acrylic paint would stick to it.
But it does. Yeah, I was thinking maybe this will work, maybe it won't. Whoops, I got the wrong color. There we go, I'm getting the pink. And then just sort of mix the colors, but it worked pretty nicely. Yeah, this is really nice with the blue too, which I'm totally forgetting about using. But once that dries, you've got a nice painted look. You'll see that nice shimmer. It doesn't look how it doesn't really look like much here, but look at the one on there.
So that's how it's going to dry.
Right. It's a beautiful look.
Very pretty. So that's a nice little added bonus. Okay, we're now going to go into a scrapbook page because this is very useful there. Now this is using picket fence, and look at those butterflies. Well, you just can't miss them. Isn't that pretty?
Isn't that nice look? And so each one of those were done on cardstock. I'm going to show you how that was done. Actually, I'm just going to show you rather than talking.
Well, let me show you what you used.
I love all of the different colors.
This is the new butterfly stamp that coordinates with the cutting die.
Right.
So that gives you several options, several looks, which have been beautifully used.
The butterflies stamped separately on painted cardstock, but also the little antennae go with it on that stamp set, so you can stamp those on your background and the little trails too.
They're separate, so and then the flight trails, yes.
So that's kind of nice that you can put those in the background, stamp these separately. So let's take a look at, let's see, I'm going to start with the cardstock that you can use, and I've got russet red, and this one is peacock. So there are several colors used on that page, so check the gallery. But for each one of those butterflies. Okay, so what I have to remember to do before I open the lid, go like that.
Especially as you are using it.
Right, get the paint down there, get a little bit of that paint, and so for each one of those butterflies, use two separate colors. One of them, I think, was pink and gold. This one was russet and teal or peacock. And then you're just going to pick up a little bit of that color and start sponging it around. And this is what Debbie did. She just sponged it around to get some different colors. And you can make it a little lighter or a little darker and add another color. And then they're going to sort of blend together as they get toward each other.
Now you did that before you stamped.
Right. So this is creating the background that you're going to be stamping on, and just sort of play with that until you get something that you like. I'm going to make that a little lighter, but sort of
kind of blend it a little
there.
bit.
It blends it just a little bit more. And once that's done, then you can stamp on it, which I did, and so you can see that stamp on there. But after Debbie stamped on it, she came back with the paints and added details. So anywhere you want to, you can just sort of add a little bit of a highlight of paint.
Oh.
So that's kind of nice too.
Yeah, it gives you that option. You
Right.
don't have to do it, but you can.
You don't have to, but it makes kind of
Yeah.
a nice little added bonus.
That's kind of artsy.
Mm-hmm.
And then use the cutting die, and you can see that in this case, these were kind of folded with your fingers and supported with foam tape underneath.
Right.
Now you may want to do that more on a card than a scrapbook page, but it's nice to have the option. And then the stamped antennas and the flight path are done directly onto the card. You can also use one of them, this is the cutting die, to hold your titling or your message, whatever you want. Follow
Yeah.
your butterflies.
So that's nice.
That's
I love
part
that
of
the cutting dies make it so easy to cut out those butterflies.
So there's, again, 2 other color combinations. Another set. Very pretty.
So
Boy, just by
isn't it
changing the colors, you get such a different look.
I love the
Very fun.
stamping along that picket fence. I mean, and Debbie actually cut it out like a picket fence, so that's a really cute look.
And the center of the butterfly on the large one is a solid center. On this one, it's more of line
More
art.
open, so you can see the color more.
Right.
Right.
And those were stamped and cut out separately and then foam taped on top. So really, really pretty.
Fun.
Very
So-
different look.
Right. So do some stamping and add it to your beautiful page.
And for another look at this. Okay, this is a center step card,
And,
one of our favorites.
Right. So it's easy to put that center, that focal on center, really on stage there.
Right.
And then it was using the new Botanical blooms, cutting dies, and stamps.
Coordinating stamp. And what I love about it, well, of course, I love the shimmer. That's just gorgeous. But I love the idea that you can do the shimmer just in certain areas. It doesn't have to be everywhere.
Right. So in the background, you're seeing that Debbie painted the entire background so that she could have that, and then she embossed on top of that, black embossing powder. But then she stamped a center on white again, cut that out, and then just added details with that paint, just painted in details.
Right, and those are all die cut. You can see the dimension
Right.
with the individual flowers
Die cut
and the
stacked.
leaves.
And it's
Right.
easy
Or
to
excuse
do.
me, just the flowers,
Just
just
the
the 3
flowers in this
flowers.
case.
Everything else is flat. So it's just a beautiful look. And
Yeah.
kind of going along with the shimmer, you can see that she's matted on the metallic gold paper. So it just adds yet another shimmer. And I think it's really, really smart to use the black cardstock. It also echoes the stamping that's been done, but it's just a really nice embellishment.
It is, and just painting some white cardstock, letting it dry, and then cutting out these details using the cutting dies is another nice touch.
You can see how that just climbs up. Turn it over and it'll climb up the other side. There you go.
So
and
fun.
the thank you is part of the same stamp, so no need to buy another one. And there's the cutting die, so you can see the individual flowers and that spray
So
that was
fun,
used.
using the paint as a background or painting in a stamped image.
Then on the inside,
Oh, that's
another
great.
piece, and then one of the flowers, and again, anher of the spray.
And that's
So-
a nice little detail. I love that
Yeah.
about these center step cards. You don't really have to do an inside because they are so, the front is so prominent, but it's nice to add
It's
something.
very pretty, isn't it? So we've got the stamping, we've got the
Okay.
die cutting. Now we're going to go into a different look.
A different look.
Right.
Now, you're seeing stencil maybe.
You are seeing a stencil.
Okay.
This is the all over swirls. Such a versatile stencil.
It is, but the trick of this one is that it was actually stamped.
Yes, the
Stamped
stencil was
with the stencil.
right. Okay, so we're going to turn our stencils into stamps. Now notice that you're getting a distressed look. So you're not getting a clear image that's solid all over. You're getting that distressed look.
Right.
We've also added our little love bug stamp, so you can see that ladybug and then also the words love
So
bug.
you can hear me over
yeah,
here.
she must be opening something.
Getting my paint out. So on that background, just looking at the background for now, we have silver And we have that dark green malachite. And I've got that on my craft sheet. I've got my, my stencil here, and I have black cardstock.
Okay.
We're going to start by putting the paint directly onto the stencil.
This is so counterintuitive, isn't it?
I know. So, you know, if I was smart, I would have put a piece of paper under there, because then I could have sort of killed two birds with one stone.
Yeah, you could have had something to show for that, huh?
But you do want to get the paint on there kind of liberally. You don't want it to be too thin. I'm not going to do the entire piece because we want to rush along and do some other things too. But I sort of got the silver all over, and then I added a little bit of the green across the center, and we'll see how that looks.
Oh, just the center.
I did this several times, and I got several different looks when I did this. I'm going to add, sort of blend that out with a little more of the silver. So I'm making sure that it's all wet before I put that onto the black cardstock. And hopefully I don't get it all over the table here. Here we go.
There you go.
Okay. And I'm going to turn this over, set that right onto the cardstock. When I do that, I'm going to press it in place. And I'm going to sort of, I think what I did here, let me see if I can grab a piece of paper really quick. This is what I did.
I was going to say.
Yeah, it's a lot easier.
Right.
Then you can really press into that and make sure that that stencil is pressed all over that piece. I wish I had had another craft sheet, but I sort of went through most of them. So here we are. It's already done. Pick that up, pull off that stencil, and you have a stamped image, and that shows you
pretty.
Where you have to make sure that you have enough paint on it. Although it is kind of nice to have sort of a ghosted image in some of those little areas.
Very pretty. Now again, it's going to get more shimmery as it dries.
Right.
Isn't that pretty? Now I would never have thought of doing the silver around the edge and a color in the center. I think that's brilliant.
It's kind of just
really
fun.
Nice.
Well, I don't like to put colors all over everything. You want just a little bit of a highlight of something here and there. So what you're looking at is the background. If we go back to the card, you're also going to see these ladybugs.
Right.
And there was a unique way that I stamped those ladybugs, so I've got that ready as well. So here's my black cardstock. I've got the small ladybug stamp here, and I've got that on an acrylic block, and I've got white and red. I'm going to use one of these sponges, or you could use a paintbrush and paint an area big enough for that ladybug. Now, I wanted it not too thin.
And you've done it on black.
And on black,
Really?
and not too thick.
Okay.
So let me just make sure that you have a nice coat so it really looks red. And then I quickly working, I'm getting enough paint on that so it's really going to be seen. Now I have to say, when I did this technique, I stamped about 4 or 5 ladybugs before I got, you know, probably 2 that I really liked.
Okay.
So this is just a fun thing that you can do a few times.
I'm surprised you did one. I'm surprised at the way the colors are.
Ta-da. I like that one.
Wow, so it's actually
I like that one
lifting.
first time.
Yeah, so it's actually lifting off
some of the red paint is just sort of pushing through it and then leaving some of that white. I just kind
That's
of
really clever.
And when you turn it, you're going to get that nice luster because it is that shimmery paint.
Well,
so do a few of
smart
those,
lady.
Cut them out and use them on more than one card.
Okay, and I'm going to clean this spot underneath us
All
while
right.
you're looking at that card. And we've got the little love bug down there. And on the inside, we have a little parade of ladybugs that will be going by. I'm a little buggy over you. That was computer journaled.
And that was one bug. So put it on this side, cut it even, and then put the other part over there.
Very funny.
Oh, wait. I want to show you how you computer journal that really quickly.
Sure.
Because you notice that was done right on that card.
Oh, yes.
Right on this card. So
Okay.
what you do is you start by printing that. You might have to back up a little bit to see this. So on my regular 8.5 by 11 paper, my laser printer, I printed I'm a little buggy over you down here at the bottom. Then I took a card and made sure that I had that where I wanted. So here's my card with the fold up the top because it's going to be folded like that. I want it on the inside of the card. I temporarily glued that in place. You can just use a glue stick. Then I ran that through my printer again, and when I did, it was printed just where I wanted it to be. And then I removed it from the card. This is a little stuck because I did this, yeah, from the paper. I did this yesterday. But I like the repositional adhesive for that, and then you're ready to finish your card.
Very clean look. And I like the ribbon on the inside. So that's the metallic ribbon just with a knot, and you can see the rest of it. So many things are going from side to side on this card.
Right.
The love bug was similarly stamped, and it is using a design tool, and this happens to be design tool number 10. And so to get that little shape, let's see, it's on this one. In here.
You got it?
There we go.
There we go.
Yeah, it's this little guy.
Lola.
So, Lola.
You know, actually.
No, it isn't Lola.
No. Is it this? Yeah, I think it is.
Is it Lola?
It's Lola.
Oh, it is Lola.
I use Lola a lot.
Oh, you did.
I do.
You did Lola one way, and then you turned her, it looks like, and did her the other way.
Did I?
It looks like it.
Okay. I thought I just used Lola.
Maybe you just used Lola. Never mind.
Used Lola.
She used Lola. There you go.
But I used the oval from
Yes.
this one, and play around with them. They're so full of little shapes. You can do any shape you want.
Very nice. Very nice. And so we've got that covered, and now we're going to go into another look.
Something a little different.
But again with our stamping, and wow, isn't that pretty?
This is beautiful, and this is a resist using those shimmering paints.
Yeah.
And the stamp that was used is not one big large stamp,
surprisingly,
but it's a swirl from the fancy pattern stamps.
Right.
It is this one.
Oh,
right
that
now.
one,
I
not that one.
It was that one.
Okay, I did.
But it's that one, and I'm going to show you just how Debbie did that.
Okay.
It's kind of a fun technique, and she started off by drawing a 5-inch circle, and she said draw a 5-inch circle, and I thought to myself, not on your life am I going to draw a 5-inch circle without a little help. So if you can't find something that's about that big, then you can use the Easy Circles template.
Right, and this template has circles all the way from 1 inch out to 11.5, and so it's just easy. You just place it and draw the lines, then turn it and draw the lines.
Right.
And you can do lines, you can do dots, lots of options with this, a nice tool.
The end result is, here is a 5-inch circle on my cardstock that will fit on that card. We might want to back, there we go. So we've got that. And then what she did was she used this stamp. Here are the swirls, and down here is the point of the swirls, and she stamped with that point at the center of the circle, going around and around. I'm going to show you just a little bit of that. Debbie used Versamark, and after she used the Versamark, she sprinkled superfine clear embossing powder on there. But since I knew you wouldn't be able to see that, I just very quickly wanted to show you, if I used regular ink, real quickly what a couple of those would look like. Just make sure you have that point in the center. You're going to stamp one, and then you're going to turn it a little bit and stamp another one, and you're going to go all the way around the circle. So just letting you know, that's the way she stamped it. Here it is, stamped and embossed with clear embossing powder.
Look at that.
And you can see that all over. So you can imagine, once you start painting with that, you're going to get a resist, because it's going to resist wherever that clear is. So I'm going to add a little, I've got the paint, which is, here, let me move this over. I've got the paint, and I don't have a craft sheet, but I'm going to add a little bit of water.
We need more craft sheets, don't we?
Or just use it just like that. And I'm going to paint it across this. And it said that she used a paintbrush, so that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And you can see that resist showing up.
You could probably use a sponge.
Yeah,
too.
I think that would be fine.
I like sponges.
Yeah. Oh, look how quickly that just shows up. Look at that. That's just beautiful. So that is a nice effect. And that, look how easy that is. That's going on really quickly.
What a lacy, beautiful look that is. How pretty.
Absolutely beautiful.
Okay, and when it's dry, this is what you're going to get, that beautiful shimmer. And now she's also added a few other things. These are the foil fancies, and This happens to be the flowers and lace, which is quite appropriate, but there's butterfly in there.
Right.
And it looks like the center one
has been painted.
Has been painted.
She
So
put
we're
a
getting
little bit
close
of
to
paint,
that.
just put a little bit of paint on that foiled fancy, a thin layer, let it dry, and then sand it off.
Right.
And you'll get that paint in the background.
And yes, you're right. If you are seeing pink jewel dazzles added to this, there's what they look like in their glory. And so just adding a bit of shine, even more shine to this. And then down below, you are my everything. Now these are the inside-outside dazzles. This is a 3-pack. So you can see it right down there. And on the inside, I love you. And more of the Stamp Resist with the shimmering paint. So
That's a fun look.
Really
now you can see that
pretty.
was pretty easy to do.
Yeah.
Stamp just about anything. You can do a repeating pattern or just one image and then paint over it, and then that resist is going to pop up.
Now another thing that you can do in our last project is this beauty. I have to tell you, I think it's just stunning.
So this is using the paints as a background, but you can stamp over it. So we've got a couple of techniques in that we have the background, but on the front we have a layered acetate paper towel style stamped image.
Okay, so you're going to show us the background
We're
first?
going to start with the background.
Okay.
Yeah, right. So I have graphite, I have peacock, and I have a big craft sheet.
Graphite is the name of the paint.
Yes, yes. The name of the paint, the shimmering paint, peacock and graphite. I don't have a peacock either, I have paint. So here's the cardstock, just plain white cardstock.
Okay.
This isn't as large as the piece I used. I think it was I used a much larger piece because then you can cut off trimmings and use them for tags.
Very smart.
So anyway, but right now I have this one, and you're going to use this craft sheet by putting, let's see, what did I write down? Drips and strips. So I'm going to put some little drips down like so, and I'm going to maybe go like that as well. I want to get it sort of everywhere. And
you don't need it just as large as your piece of paper, right?
Right, just as large as your piece of paper, and you're going to do the same with the blue. Drips and strips.
Okay.
And I think that I used the blue more than the graphite.
Looks like it.
So I may have actually put a little more of the graphite down than I used on that card. But the thing about this is another technique where I did this like 3 times, and I had 3 different cardstocks because it just looked so nice. And in this case, I did spritz it with a little water. I wanted to, and that's right, before I put my cardstock on there, I sort of blended it a little, not a lot. I'm not going like this. If you do that, it's all gonna be one color. You wanna sort of pounce it through and move it around, but you don't want to blend it all together.
Okay, so you're up and down.
I'm up and down pouncing and getting it everywhere. I want those open areas to have paint. And then I'm going to add a little bit more water.
Okay.
And then you just see what happens. You put your paper down, you sort of move it. And I'm not going to swipe it across. I'm just going to press the back end. This is a little bit messy, but it's fun messy. Lift it up.
It will clean off with water.
See what we have. So that's one look. Get another piece of
that.
cardstock, do it again, or if you don't like that look, put it back down and mush it around and see what it comes up with next. So you can,
I like that.
You can get some different looks. You can get it kind of thick. If you don't like the thick, you can go along the edges and sort of pounce it a little bit. Whoops, which you can't see, but I couldn't put it anywhere. There we go. So you can mess with it a little bit till you get what you like.
That's pretty.
And I like the lines. I like the thickness of the paints that make those lines.
I do too.
You really want to let that dry nicely.
It's going to take a little while
before you move on.
Now that is the background, so let me lift it so you can see. Now she did stamp directly onto it with black
stays on.
Okay.
It works nicely.
Now,
on
by
there.
the way, the stamp that we're using is for the guys. It's a newer stamp. There we go, brand new this year. So you can see that we've got the road map up here. We've got the cars. It's a classic.
Yeah.
We've got more stamping of the road map down there, but I'm really entranced by the front of this. Now this is acetate. You can use the heat resistant, but you don't need to because you're not doing heat embossing on it.
That's right. I just stamped on it with the stays on. Also, let's point out that the card itself, this cardstock in the back, that's the matted focal in the back. It's just that. And then you've got the acetate just folded over the top. and attached to the back with some ultra tape. So that's your card right there. And then for that image of that nice little old-fashioned car, I stamped it on acetate. I've got it on here so that you can see it really well. I stamped it on acetate with StazOn a bunch of times, just as many times as you want to cut out details. So one of these is going to be stamped directly onto the acetate on your card, and then when you stamp these pieces, you start cutting out details. And with this one, I cut out the front of the car, and I followed the edges of the tires and up the front frame and everything, and I come down here to the fender and I snip it free, and after I do, I can use that to lay on top of one of the other images.
Of your first image.
Right, of your first image, the one that's going to be on the card. You'll lay it on top, and the way to stack that is with clear foam tape squares.
So this is the cool tack. They're clear. So for using acetate on acetate, that's going to work perfectly,
right, because you won't be able to see them.
Yeah.
So here they are, and you just remove them, and you can place them wherever you like on the back, and you won't be able to see them. Well, you might see them a little bit, maybe, but it doesn't really seem to make much difference. Take the sticky part off, and then they're super easy. I put it on the wrong side.
You did.
Yes, I did. So it actually has to go like
words
this.
of wisdom.
And they'll get foam taped together. Anyway, have fun cutting out different elements and just start stacking. Remember, that will be the farthest away part. You want to start stacking the tires and the frame in front and just keep stacking on top of each other.
So let me bring this in and we could take a closer look. So back here, this tire was cut out and foam tape on top.
Right.
Then, like you said, let's see.
Then you've got the entire stamped image. You've got back here, and then there's a piece here. The whole chassis of the car. This side all the way to the front. That was another piece, and then a piece with this tire and all of this all together, and then this piece with maybe that bumper and that tire.
And so you've got those layers. Now the same thing up here with the compass, which is also part of it. So you did the compass and had it cut off.
Right.
And then the spokes are foam taped on top.
Right.
Again with the cool
stacked
tack.
up just like paper towel.
And thanks for being so wonderful. I love that piece. So it's just a beauty. So as we said, the shimmer paints have a lot of versatility with stamping, and it's a kind of one of those matches made in heaven, wouldn't you think?
It is. So we'll see you tomorrow.
Right, please join us.